All right, welcome back. And now what we're going to do is we're going to put it all together and we're going to start solving two operation equations. So that means that there's going to be at least there are two operations going on, either addition and subtraction, or addition and multiplication, subtraction and division. So we're going to start putting everything together, even combining like terms. So everything that we've talked about in previous videos, now we're just going to do everything together. And remember, the idea is for solving an equation is you're basically getting a chain of equivalent equations until you get down to where you have x isolated on one side of the equal sign and then everything else is on the other side of the equal sign, and then you've solved it. Okay? So that's what we're going to do for each one of these. And so as we go through these, also keep in mind that as I solve these, a couple things. You want to combine like terms whenever you can. First combine like terms. And then once you combine like terms, then you're going to want to isolate or start working on isolating the variable on one side of the equal sign and putting all the other constants on the other side, and then simplifying it till you have x equals a number. Okay, so in this case here, for this example here, I'm going to, and it's always good to start with adding and subtracting first, and then dealing with the multiplication and division. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of or move the 6 over here by subtracting 6 from both sides. So that's the first thing we do. So always deal with adding and subtracting first. That's the simplest way to go. Okay? So I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add, so that's going to give me 2x, this is going to be 0, is equal to what? 14 minus 6 is what? 8. Okay? Now, what am I going to do? Now I have the equivalent equation of 2x is equal to 8. So now what I'm going to do is, since this is multiplication, I'm going to divide. So I'm going to divide by 2, because 2 divided by 2 gives me 1, which is what I want. So that means I'm going to have to divide by 2 on this side. And so what does that give me? That gives me x equals 4. And of course, always take your answer, plug it back in to make sure that it's the correct answer. So 4 times 2 is 8. 8 plus 6 is 14. And so it works. Okay, now, what about this one? Now I'm going to do the same thing. Here I've got a positive 9, right? Okay, so what do I want to do? I want to subtract. Okay, be careful. Just because this is subtraction doesn't mean you're going to add 9 to both sides. Remember, you want to undo whatever this is. So here I'm adding 9. It's not subtraction. I'm subtracting this. Okay, so I'm going to subtract 9 from both sides. So what is that going to give me? And by the way, if it makes it better for you, just change this to a plus negative. Okay, so now what do I get? I get what? I get 14 over here, and I get equals what? A negative y over 3. So now, what do I have to do to both sides to get y over here? I'm dividing by y, and it's negative. So that means what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to multiply both sides by negative 3, because a negative times a negative gives me positive, and then I get 3 divided by 3, which is 1, which will leave me a y. So now I'm going to multiply this side by negative 3. And so guess what? Now that gives me what? Y equals what? Negative 42. And again, put it back in here, right? So a negative 42 divided by 3 gives me what? Negative 42 divided by 3 gives me a negative 14. But it's negative, so the negative of a negative is positive. So it gives me positive 14. 14 plus 9 equals 23. So it works. Okay. Now again, I'm doing it in my head. I would write it out. If I were you, I would write it out. So just plug it in. 23 equals 9. And again, if you plug it back into the original equation, so it would be minus 9 negative 42 over 3. And so now here's what I would do. So I would basically just do 23, and it would be equal to, this is going to be 9 minus, this is going to give me a negative 14. So a negative times a negative, or negative and a negative. So again, plus, plus. Okay, so that's going to give me 23 equals 23. Check. Okay. Okay, now what about this one here? Now here, look at this. I've got like terms here. So the first thing I would do is combine like terms first. Okay? So in this case here, I've got 2x plus 4x. So that's going to give me 6x plus 5 equals 17. And now I'm going to start using the addition property and the multiplication property. So now I'm going to subtract 5, right, from both sides. So that means I get 6x, this adds to 0, and I get equals, and this becomes 12. So then now what do? Now I'm going to divide both sides by 6, right, because I'm multiplying, right, by 6. So then 6 divided by 6 gives me 1, right? So I get x here, and 12 divided by 6 is 2. So I get x equals 2. And again, plug it back in. Okay, here I get 4 plus 5, which is 9, plus 8, which is 17. And so 17 equals 17. All right, now the last one. Okay, what about this one? Now I'm going to do this one 2 different ways, just so you can see that there's more than one way to solve these. Okay, and as long as you just do it correctly, you'll get the correct answer. Now, here I'm multiplying by 5 and I'm dividing by 5. Or excuse me, dividing by 3. So how do I handle this? Well, the first thing you can do is say, well, I want to get rid of that 3. So since I'm dividing by 3, then I'm going to have to multiply by 3. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 3. So I'm going to do 3 times 5x over 3 equals 3 times 25. So again, this is going to divide here. So this 3 divided by 3 is 1. So then that's going to give me 5x equals 75. Now, since I'm multiplying here by 5, I'm going to divide both sides by 5. And so 5 divided by 5 is 1. And so that gives me x. And then 75 divided by 5 is 15. And so x equals 15. And again, if you put in 15, right, if you put in 15, 15 divided by 3 is 5. 5 times 5 is 25. Okay? Now, another way you could have done this is what we call multiplying both sides by the reciprocal, right? Because, remember, multiplication division, you can kind of move things around, right? So I can rewrite this as this is the same as 5/3 times x, right? Because I can pull this out as its own fraction, okay, is equal to 25. So I can look at it that way. So now, what do I need here? I need 1. I need a 1 here. I need 1 times x. So how do I get this to be 1? Well, I can multiply by the reciprocal of the coefficient. Oops. Okay? So, but if I multiply by the reciprocal here, I also have to multiply by the reciprocal on this side. Well, what's this? Well, this will give me what? 15 over 15, right? Which is 1. Or you can look at it, divides this, and these two divide, which still gives me 1. In any case, I get 1 over here. And now, what happens here? Well, this is the same as 25 times 3 divided by 5, which gives me what? 15. And that's it. So again, it's that simple. Practice. Make sure you practice.